Greetings, everyone. I don't like to use reverend because, it relates to what people believe a reverend's supposed to be, which has nothing to do with the truth. But in general, I studied spiritualism all my life. I studied about aliens and UFOs as well. And I learned the hardcore truth about love on this planet. So my experiences ranges pretty far. I'm 72, so I guess I went through a long time of different kind of learning, studied with so many kinds of different kind of teachers. I went through roughly 14 religions. Studied with a medicine man, medicine woman. I studied with shamans of all kinds. I studied with a Tibetan master. I studied three major different kind of religions. But the problem is what they teach. I was going to become a preacher when I was little. After I left being a Protestant at 14, I was allowed to ask the minister 3 questions. I was baptized. And I asked him 3 questions, which he couldn't answer. Not one person in the religious world will answer them what they are. Like, what is God? What does God look like? What does God do? What does heaven look like? What do you do when you're there? People are so programmed with lies, lies, and more lies, stories and stories and stories of who? Different men with egos. When people claim a title, and that's why I don't like to use reverend, it's just that what I talk about has to do with spiritualism mostly, but a reverend in general, a preacher, a minister, a rabbi, the Pope, Dalai Lama, all those kind of names are titles. The people that control a religion, religions on this planet are totally useless. And I know you're not going to disagree, you'll probably leave the show. But the truth is, think about it. I mean, I'm going to go over a couple of things before we get into life and death. What do you think life is about? But think about that while we're talking about religions. Where does religion get people? One of the most famous, richest people in the United States makes tons of money. And then when we had that crisis, he wouldn't even let people into the church to stay until they got a place to live and things like that. But people with money have the biggest ego on the planet. Otherwise, they wouldn't have that kind of money. Now, to keep it is another thing. Even Musk has a chance of going to jail. But we'll see. He can bribe everybody that comes in across him. If he ever was put in jail, he could bribe everybody in jail and they'd still let him out. When you're the richest person on the planet, there's just about no stopping you. I mean, a bullet, a bomb, things like that would, but in general, people will take a bribe before they get involved. Even in the UFO world, most of the people that I knew were taken out, and they weren't willing to take a bribe. Sad part of it, my best UFO friend that I worked with for years did leave. Suddenly had lots of money, and then he gave up the UFO world. And now he claims to be a spiritual being of Jesus. I'm not going to go into that. But people take on ego, and it grows, and money makes it grow. So all through history, when the people came into the United States, they were poor, looking for money. But then when the cavalry came in and slaughtered all the native people and things like that, when the Constitution was being created, they stole half of that from the native people to create a country of what? Killers, murderers, rapists, thieves. You talk about Earth. Why are you here on planet Earth? Think about it. Well, I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have lots of children and try to support them until I die or until they die. What an exciting idea. Wow, I could have 10 children and 3 of them could die tomorrow. I could get married 10 times, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 time. And she could die tomorrow, or I could die before we even get married. Life and death are very close. But the sad part, people don't look at death. It only brings fear to most people. I had a boss that used start shaking if I mention the word death. I learned the hard way. Nothing in my life came easy. What I grew up with, I experienced just about anything anybody could want or not want. From death, being aware of all my reincarnations, never mind past life experiences that come reality, things like that, all those kind of things. But a near-death experience opens you up to a more abstract, real idea of what death is. Because death is within everybody's reach. The maximum you're going to get is 125 years, and hopefully you don't even live past 90 or 100, because then you start seeing your family die. And if that's what you want, that's your choice. People want to live another 40 years, 50 years. Well, imagine living to 175. You know how many family members you're going to see die? I'm not even talking about accidents. I'm talking about dying from sickness and all that. So when people talk about God, where do they fit it into the picture? The programmed idea. People, it's an idea. If you read the Bible or any of the sacred writings and things like that, I mean, the way they say, well, the story wasn't real, that's another story from another time. Well, we go through cycles over and over. We had 3 major floods on this planet, but we never had the whole planet flooded because it's impossible, people. And even Noah's Ark, he didn't take every animal. There's no way he could have found all the animals, or they all came marching over and go on the ship to go with him, really. But even the ones he did, he took pairs. And how did they keep the lions with the birds and the tigers and everybody all together? Well, they didn't have every animal. They had, what was it, like 112 pairs of animals. That's not all the animals on the planet. And parts of the world were separated, so there's no possible way. Well, they hopped on a boat and came over to get on his boat. People, you don't want to believe stories. There's real stories, but the lies around it make it ridiculous. New Age people claim, oh, they made DNA of all the animals and put it in test tubes. And, you know, the sicker people become is because they're getting so-called thinking they're getting smarter. Scientists and science will never prove anything important. Never. Not on this planet. When aliens come, which they're here, and they're getting ready for a bigger event, what are people going to do? What are they going to think? Well, oh, God created man, but did he create aliens? No. I mean, then the Christians try to already call them demons. Demons are real. All right, but that's not what aliens are. They're separated people. Ghosts and spirits are not aliens. You want the truth, or do you want to live in La La Land? Most people like La La Land because it doesn't affect anything they want to do, which is nothing. Again, what? Get a bigger house, get a better car. Oh, I want to fly into space. Really? Why? To get away from reality? Why do people drink, do drugs, smoke? Oh, because it's fun? What's fun? Really? Is that fun? What did I do last night? What happened last night? Waking up on the street and things like that. Is that what you call fun? People, you know, you can live in the world and be not of it, which is a really important place to be. But when you're in the world and of it, you're a part of all the karma created here. All right? You know, people here, oh, I'm against this, I'm against everything. Because you're in hell, people. Everything you do stimulates the thing that controls it. Drugs and even sports is not a beneficial thing to the world. All the money wasted in sports, really? Entertainers get paid super amounts to entertain you because you're so bored. But they got to entertain you to win your money. Everything on this planet is based on money, which is scary. And it's sad because, you know, money gets you nowhere. Oh, it gets you food, get your house, get you all the things that you think you want. Because people don't want the truth. They don't want what they really need. awareness. Well, I'm aware of everything. What? The rain, the snow, bears, turtles. What are you aware of? Why are turtles here? Why are dolphins here? Why are whales here? Why did God create roaches? Blocks out 99% of the truth. Now, the Emerald Tablets is a really important scroll, stone, however you want to look at it. But even then, there's limitations because a person, a being, or an entity, a deity, an angel, can only teach you what they know. And if they were God realized completely, they wouldn't be here in hell. People stay here because they still don't know better. If you get to the astral plane, you will, when you die, if not before. You don't get to stay there. Most people don't. The astral plane is an interesting place because, everything like here can be manifested there greatly in a greater way. You don't have to get on a plane to go somewhere. You don't have to get on a bus or a car. And guess what? You don't age. You don't die of old age on the astral plane. You have to become aware and then leave. It's plain and simple. Here you're being forced over and over to realize one thing, why you are really here. Life. Because your mother and father decided to have sex. Mother was raped. All these reasons why children are here. And when children learn a lot of that, are they happy? When they have two mothers and they don't have a father, and they say, well, how did I get here? Who brought me here? And things like that. The questions get muffled because these poor children are taught about Superman, Batman, Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Boogeyman. All right. Oh, yeah, God's real too. They tell children that. A lot of Christians do. New Age people believe in the universe like that's something really important, which it's not. The universe isn't beneficial. Not to spiritual growth. Comets, meteorites, planets, and all that have nothing to do with helping us grow. Time. To understand time, realize the world was given history. Okay, figure it this. The planet was, say, 10 billion years old. Who was here talking about it 10 billion years ago? Who is documenting how many times a comet comes around the planet? How do you document that? If you live about, even Moses, how long he lived, supposedly, but if you put down a long time of years, some things don't happen for 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 years. Really? How do you document that? Well, I'm going to die, but I'm going to put a document of this comet. It was here. We'll see when it comes back. How, when the next person sees a comet, oh, that's the comet he must have been talking about. History and science are pretty well screwed together. Science is based on the history of the planet and the earth and the ground. Age is based on carbon, all right? And basically trees are the rings in the tree. There's different ways to tell time of a tree life, of a rock, of things like that. But when it comes to natural things, like a human, well, his DNA is how old? By his bones, how old his bones are? What happens when they find somebody frozen in ice? How do they know how old he really is? Because his body didn't change. His bones deteriorate in a certain level, and that's how they measure it. Same as with rocks, mountains. They go deeper and deeper, and they understand how the earth looked at that time frame. But where's all this dirt coming from? Where's all these levels of growth coming from? And basically, water can't overpopulate the planet. Impossible. The amount of water that comes up is the amount of land that goes down, or vice versa. It's the placement. The earth is always about 67, 72% water. Always. So no matter what comes up and goes down, what defrosts and what doesn't, the planet stays basically the same. Now, what creates problems on the planet? Natural events. But seriously, over the past 25 years, the human race has been destroying the planet, creating the things that are happening. Now, just for instance, the earthquake chart has escalated to the max. 25 years ago, you saw maybe 4.5 once every couple months. You see a 5.0, and I could pull it up just right now. Just let me check real quick. Okay. Puerto Rico has them every day. Canada just had a 5.3. 0.3. Oh, and this one's having multiple ones, which is Indonesia. So, when we talk about things that are natural and unnatural, earthquakes aren't natural in general. Some are, some aren't. But Tesla, 1900, created an earthquake machine. The police had to break into his house to shut it down, or he would have leveled the square block in New York City. He was working on a doomsday weapon. I could go into Tesla, but I'm not going to do it now. The government doesn't know half of the truth behind it. All they know is Tesla gave them 50 of the most deadliest weapons on the planet today. And the United States put a lot of them in our new spaceship, which you'll see this year. Musk put out a new jet that's a danger to the planet. It flies 4 times faster than any other jet on the planet. What is he going to do with that? Who's he giving it to? Who's going to be working with it? Is he giving it to the United States? If he gives it to another country, he's a traitor. He left his country, so he didn't go to war, and he went to Canada. Now he's calling Canada not a real country, a real state, or anything. He's saying it's not real. Oh, really? Then why'd you run to it? People make excuses for every single thing they do. I take responsibility. If I do something, I'm responsible for it. I know what kind of karma I get. I'm living in the word what John Lennon wrote about, instant karma. Now, there's a difference between karma and instant karma. Karma means it could be from past lives, the past lives that you had, to your childhood, to the present. Instant karma means it gets created. You do something right now, and you'll pay for it right away. So, thinking you're going to get away with something, you'll find out super quick you can't. You can't run from karma. Now, for the Christians out there, if anybody's Christian that listens, probably not, because they can't deal with the truth at all. In Revelations, John talks about sins and sins that can't be forgiven. They don't want to know what it says, because most Christians live within that. So, truth in whatever path you choose, the Muslims, they don't respect women, never did. No religion in history respected women. And I hate to talk about Jesus because most people think, well, if you're not Christian, they don't want to hear his name. But he was the most spiritual person to walk this planet, people. Spiritual. Not religious. Not God. He never said he was God. People want to classify him as a God. And he's saving SRES. No, he's not. You kill somebody, you're not going to be saved by Jesus. Oh, I'm going to do 10,000 Hail Marys and be forgiven. No, you're not. Karma is not a forgivable thing. It's paid back. You got to pay for karma to get rid of karma that you created. Nobody can take it away. The Pope, Dalai Lama, a psychic, a New Age spiritualist, a medicine person cannot take away your karma. Even if you believe they did, it'll come back. You might live your whole lifetime. I got rid of my karma. You're going to die no matter what you did, and then you're going to face your karma anyway. The karma, though, that you're going to see is coming back to planet Earth in reincarnation. But guess what? You don't remember any of it. So all that just becomes water under the bridge, and you have no clue why, how, you're paying karma, what it is, or anything. Oh, why do I have this all my life? Why do I do this? And why do I? Because, and here's something really important for all people. All people. When you reincarnate, you don't get to pick who you think you're going to be, you want to be, where you want to be. That's based on your karma. Very few souls get to choose any of that. If you're coming back for a very short payment of karma, you get a little bit more choice than people that come back with lots of karma. You just start all over. Start all over. I used to play that song by Tracy Chapman whenever I did a workshop or a lecture outside in the real world. But again, karma is instant. If you're living in a moment in a spiritual place, meaning you're aware of what you do and what it affects and how it affects. You get away with a lot more if it just affects you. It's just you and your karma. But when you affect other people, it causes a greater karma. Because now, if you kill somebody, realize all the families and all the way the planet Earth could have moved is not going to happen. Karma is a bitch. And very few people pay it off in a lifetime. Even know how. Ask the Dalai Lama. Ask any of these people. How do you pay off the karma? Sit and pray? Pray to who? When you don't believe in God, who are you praying to? The universe. Oh, great universe, heal me. Make me a spiritual being. And what's that mean? People live life in a dream. A real one and a fake one. I mean, the fake one means you're dreaming, but it's real. You're in a real life, but it's fake. Right? Because you can live this whole 125 years, but it's over when it's over. And it's gone. Everything you think you created is over for you. You can leave your family, your children, starving, homeless, whatever. By the time when you go to die, you didn't save money for them, you didn't do anything for them. And it's really hard to get ahead in this time frame. And things are going to get worse, people. If you thought planet Earth wasn't hell, you're going to slowly see it greatly. I mean, I listened to my grandmother about World War I. A horrible time in the United States. World War II, my father was in that, but he never talked about it. But they both won the Gold Star, whatever it was called. I don't remember. But here's the thing. Being a murderer or a killer doesn't make you karma free. It adds karma to you. Now, the Ten Commandments are not facts of the way you have to live. It was a way to live in a normal balance without creating stories on top of stories. But Moses didn't understand the whole sentence that he even wrote. Honor thy mother, all right? Have no gods, statues of gods and anything above or below. And what do all Christians have? Statues of Jesus, statues of Mary. I mean, the Buddhism have statues of all the deities. Everybody has statues of things. I keep them there, but not because I worship them now. I work with the real deity. I work with 3 different deities. I work with angels. All right? And I can go on to about Jesus and everybody else, but it doesn't matter, and it's not going to help you because your mind's programmed. If you're listening to this even up to this point, you already are beyond the idea of saying, well, maybe he's right. Or that's why you are staying. But then again, when I say another word, oh no, that's a lie. That can't be true. God's saving my sorry ass. Really, for what? Now, talk about Earth. Earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes, and tsunamis, and all those kind of words taking out towns and people and all that. Well, that's a natural disaster. No, it's not. Something creates everything that happens. We're destroying our ozone layer, which is almost gone, which is also going to bring down the downfall of the planet. I mean, science says we can repair it anytime we want. Repair it anytime you want. Consider it was miles long and now it's like inches wide. Guess what? Maybe you should have started thinking about that years ago. Every fire that burns on this planet destroys the ozone even more. After all the fires we had the past year, will increase the changing of our weather within the next 2 years completely out of the ordinary. You're going to see it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see it or watch it. And I mean, science like NASA, they come up and go with stories and this. Oh, we're going to be hit by a comet. Oh, it's going to hit us within 5 years. Oh, the newest book. Oh, it's going to miss us. You know, Musk said he won't let a satellite, a comet hit us. You know, people have great ego and thinking they're better than everybody. Money changes everything. The song Cyndi Lauper did. It does. And 90% of the time, I should say 99% of the time, it makes you pull away from the truth and spiritualism. If the 5 richest people on the planet, including Musk, decide to make the United States and other countries better, you know what they could do? Make it better. But he can't even pay support for his child that's sick. You know, and I'm dealing with it on sites and stuff, but who knows who it is. Well, I'm going to give you a Tesla car. One goes, you're not going to accept anything from him, are you? Then if I get it, I'll sell it. But that's besides the point. You know, these people he gave millions of dollars to vote for Trump. How do we know he didn't walk into these places and counting the votes and just pay them off? Because, you know, little by little, every single day, people that think they wanted Trump in are finding out it's not a good thing. He's lying about everything. Everything, people. But, you know, when somebody's your teacher, your master, your ruler, your president, and they say to you, I'm going to be a dictator on day one. What does that mean to you, people? Do you have a brain to understand what a dictator is? Look it up, people. Look up dictatorship. Look at the countries under dictatorship. He said he was going to be that for you. Is that hard to understand? I sure hope not. But, you know, and I do my shows without tons of writing, and I used to, but why? I could never stay on track of whatever I wrote. Because, you know, the only thing that matters is the moment you're in. What is your thought right now? What are you thinking about right now? Not 10 years ago, 10,000 years ago. Sure, they creep up on. I can see everything in my life over and over. I hear a sound. It puts the image of whatever it was when I heard it, saw it, and went through it. Is it a good or bad thing? Probably not good. Because then you realize what a shithole your life was. And how bad it was. And all the things that went down. Oh, I had a perfect life. Really? What's perfect for you? How many times did you have sex in a week? How many times did you go out to dinner? How many times did you actually kiss your wife? And things like that. All the little things that you think are perfect are not. Parents do not raise children right. They don't know nothing about spiritual protection. Never mind, they can't teach them about it because they don't know. So, what's a parent teach children about God? God is going to save your ass. You just ask for forgiveness. Really? The Emerald tablets are a lot deeper and a lot more awareness came out of it if you want to read it. I went with a medicine woman who taught me how to do techniques that you actually do to go through it and how Jesus went through ascension. There's only 2 people on this planet that actually went through ascension, people. You can believe all the stupid storytellers, the liars, the twisted psychics, and mental case people out there. They're delusional. They do not know what the word ascension means. Now, all souls go through ascending. And all that means is you leave your body, you go to the astral plane, get judged or pay your karma, and you come back. That's how it goes for most people. I spent a lot of time on the astral plane until I could get past it. But I watch souls come and go. Time's different there. You can do a year's work in an hour or a half hour time here. So it's greatly a greater experience than being here at every level. You pick an age you like, and then you do what you want. But you don't move forward because you're playing with too many things that you didn't have here. Now, somebody in a religion said the easiest way to become God realized is to realize it's right here and now within you. And God realized doesn't mean you become God. It doesn't, people. Nobody here is even close to God. God doesn't even come here, people. If it did, this planet would just explode from the vibrations alone. I'm serious about that. Angels don't stay here. Deities came for a period of time. But what did they bring to the human race? All the deities. Sex. Different forms of sex, tantras, and all kundalini energy, and deal with sexual energy and things like that. And that's not God. Now, the mind has the senses: smell, taste, sight, touch. Uh, and that's what the body thinks is important. So when you're feeling pain, oh, well, it's coming from the brain. I mean, I just watched a show coming on TV. A person has no feelings, doesn't feel anything. So if he cut his finger off, he wouldn't even know it. He dropped something, he can't feel it. He can't feel anything. But when we talk about the five senses of the body, it's the five senses of the mind. People, you're not going to like this. Soul is not the mind. Consciousness is not of soul. And I debate my partner, who's a Buddhist. I mean, I'll debate anybody on it. But they don't have the difference. Because, consciousness is based on everything you learned here, which is zilch. Nothing. Now, have one death experience, you learn a little more. Have two death experiences, you learn a lot more. Learn how to leave the body. All right? Most people learn the word astral projection, not that they can do it. And that's a limited projection because they can't go past the astral plane. They don't even mention it anymore because people don't even know what it is. It's called the silver cord. Shirley MacLaine did a movie many years ago, Out on a Limb, and it was her personal life story of becoming aware, even to seeing an alien and everything else along the way. But the silver cord was created for a reason, and everybody has it. I'm not saying you have to keep it, but you have it. What it does is keeps the soul from leaving the body and just floating out into the universe. Because it still doesn't know what it's even doing. So there's a lot of things that people don't talk about no more because they don't even know or have an idea what it is. Well, what connects us to what? Yeah, your body. Yeah, what's connected to your body? Your soul? No, it's not. Your body dies. It's not connected to it no more. People, you've been programmed with the most ridiculous ideas. And God is not a he, never was. But God is also not a she. And I use the word what it is. It, I-T, what it is. In the Bible, oh, it is what it is. Yeah, right. And who can talk about what that is? Moses? Moses wasn't here when God created this world. Who was? When God created different races, which it did, they're all on different levels of awareness. And I'm telling you by actual experience and the people I work with that were abducted, lost their children, all those kind of things. We are the most spiritual race. And we can't even deal with it. Considering going back to Atlantis, which is the beginning of 9 races on this reality, 5 of them left. And we're all different colors. Right? I mean 9 colors, not 3. Not the primary colors. There was 9. But they went to the astral plane, or a few went above. How? They weren't focused on eating animals. They weren't focused on killing, stealing. Atlantis was the only time planet Earth was actually the Garden of Eden. Aliens didn't like that. A pope or a lama, they don't want people smarter than them. And I say no teacher is good if they can't teach you to become better than they are. I try to work hard with my students. I don't have a lot. I was a student of too many people, and I watched how they teach. They want you to get to a point where you give them your money, basically. But to become a true, powerful entity within yourself is important. Who can teach that? I can show you ways and things to do and how to find it. But the only thing that matters is, are you willing to walk the steps to get there? The hardest thing to do on planet Earth is to become spiritually aware. Going to church, going to whatever, praying and chanting and singing and dancing is only a way to help you focus. Now, children like to spin around. It's an ancient thing called what the whirling dervishes did. But they can do it for an hour, 2 hours. But something why children do it is because soul steps out of the body. And then you're aware. Not of everything, but you're aware of what you are at that moment. When you're a child and you spin around, you usually spin around until you fall down. But right before you fall down, soul steps out of the body and says, I'm not staying in here. Then when it hits the ground, it comes back in. But that few split seconds give the child the desire to keep doing it. I don't know how many times I did it. All my friends did it. But when I was in grade school, it was called putting out. You breathe like 40 times, you hold your breath, and somebody squeezes you until you pass out. It was a big thing. I mean, we did it every day and all that. We brought it into the school. Police were there, the hospital people were there, telling us how dangerous it is for your brain and all this. Oh, well, that's why I'm crazy? I was always crazy. I say I'm crazy going sane. And I look at people the opposite. They're all sane, going crazy. What we do is not beneficial to nobody, not even to ourselves. There's a bunch of topics I can get into. I want to keep it more on simple learning of why you're here. Ask yourself right now, if you read this, hear this, see it, why are you here? Please don't say to save the world, to save mankind, to save anything. I'm going to save the animals. You can't save them. No matter what you do, they'll die if they're not needed right now. God's not stupid. God is not ignorant. God is not a lot of words that people may assume or don't understand it and make it that. Why did God create roaches, tigers, and rats, and all those words? Take man off of planet Earth, and it was balanced. I mean, I went through some things just over the past week. I went to the zoo. But when you see animals, if certain animals weren't with other animals, they'd overpopulate and die. They'd have no food. The dinosaurs did that. They weren't all taken out by a comet and things like that. If you know anything about history, humans ate dinosaurs, whether you want to know that or not. There wasn't like a separation in time. Humans have very little awareness of all the time what really happened, what went down. And I mean, they're fighting over something like the Shroud of Turin. It's real, and they still can't prove it real or not. But they can't make it either. When something cannot be made, guess what? It's real. I brought a friend of mine on a show. He has a piece of an alien ship. It looks like a pine cone. Serious. His friend shot it off of a ship before he died. And he carries that, he keeps it locked up, he won't let anybody take it. But he went to 16 metal companies to see how it could be made. Every one of them told him it cannot be made on planet Earth. They can mold it in lead, but it won't be the same. People, we're convinced science has answers for things. You know, when they said everything's a proton, neutron, and electron, and evolution, and all these words, they feed you and program you with over and over. Now, when I was little, you know, the proton, neutron, and electron, and I realized it has to be the same with gravitational energy, magnetic energy, and I never remember the third one, but they're a part of the same thing. All right. So when aliens created travel, it wasn't that complicated. But they dealt with science only. They didn't deal with God. They didn't deal with life after death. They didn't deal with any of that. So when you focus on one thing, well, they say you want to learn something, focus on one person that does it or people that are in that space. And then you learn one thing. Learn the truth. How many people you can focus on that can teach you anything important? Well, pray to God, pray to Moses, pray to this, pray to that. For what? Why are you praying? To tell God to do something? Or ask him for money? I mean, you got a choice. And then you hear the story, well, if you're going to ask God for anything, always ask for 10 times more, so this way, no matter what you get, you'll be happy. Something I still do, don't ask me why. Tony, look around, there's something that must be found. Now, if I really believe a saint is going to help me find things, I'm really on cloud 9. But you know, when you create energy around yourself of something, it creates different waves of energy and stuff. Usually your mind goes blank with things and then it just remembers. I remember everything in my life, and there was very little pleasure in any of it. You know, I would tell a person to do this. Write a chart of what God is and what God isn't. Then do a chart of all the pleasure times you had in your life. Put down the time that you worked all your life. Put down the time you ate all your life. Put down the time you brushed your teeth. Put down the time you went to the bathroom. Put down the time you worked in the shower. Put the hours together and see which outweighs what. With pleasant times? Of course not. You work 5, 6, 7 days a week, some people. You have 2 days to relax. And then something comes up and you have to do this and you have to do that. How many times are you like in a park actually having fun? Rich multimillionaires go to that space all the time. They don't have to deal with life as we perceive it as normal people. They do what they want, when they want, wherever they want to go, as often as they want. We change everybody's life if we could all do the same thing. But we can't. We're controlled on this planet greatly, not by God. God doesn't tell you to go to work and be a bartender. God doesn't tell you to go out and sell drugs. God doesn't tell you to go out and kill and steal. So when you say, oh, I got my programming, but you don't realize where it came from. Parents are great for giving children a false truth. Then when parents fight, it affects children greatly. And then when you hear my favorite takes away any feelings you would have if you had 3 brothers or sisters or both, and your mother really loves the one better than all of you. How do you think that affects children? Then when a child's happy in school, has friends, you make them move. Parents are the greatest abusers of children, and they're not even recognized for that. I mean, these shows, they show you that they got a new father coming in and they don't want it. You know a movie that impressed me when I was little? The Parents Trap. Haley Mills played in Twins, and they had this father coming in, and they didn't want it, and they wanted the real father. You know, we don't know. People don't know how much children go through daily now. The stress we're putting them under, the games they let them play. Their mind is so far from being a consciousness of humanality, for a word, because you're dealing with games that kill. I mean, 90% of the games you're killing somebody. And what's that built into the subconscious mind? Killing is acceptable. You know, I can go into that whole thing. I was 17 and I was joining the army. I met my girlfriend and I didn't want to go in now. I wanted to go in because I was going to take electronics and boxing when I was going in the army. And they said, you can have both. And all of a sudden my stomach was really bad and they said, we don't want you. But that's when I met my wife and I said, my stomach is bad. And they said, well, we can't take you. So I went into a relationship, which was kind of a downfall of growth. Relationships usually don't build you up, they usually break you down. Two people on different paths, which everybody is, it's hard to maintain a perfect balance between the two of you. Love is the illusion. And I'm going to do a show on that very soon because it took me 70 years, I'm 72, to understand why I would come back to this reality in this world. I can go into the reason, I'm not going to go into it now, but it's important because you have to realize why you are here, why you still are here, why you didn't move on. Now, when people say, well, my family, you 99%, 98%, maybe less than that now, it's changing a little. You can reincarnate back into your family. But when you do, it's going to be 10 years difference. So when you're born, you'll be the daughter or the child of some granddaughter or something. You won't be your mother's pet, your father's pet, or anything like that. So you're getting back into a programmed idea, well, I'm going to come back and be with my family. Your family doesn't exist by the time you leave it. Especially when you wait in the astral plane for 10 years before you can reincarnate back into here as a baby. And by the time you become aware what's happening. See, science can't get into that because they don't know nothing about death. And I'll tell you straight out, death is more important than life is. If you stay in life, you'll never experience death. You'll never get into the higher realms, ever. If you think that things here are important, they are while you're here. But if you can't let them go of them in a split second, you're really in trouble. Because soul holds on to things. I mean, it thinks it learns something, and then it comes back to re-experiencing. But it's re-experiencing the wrong things. When you experience the higher realms, which you get a chance, some people do, to realize that it only gets better when you do leave. But the astral plane, you get a glimpse of the astral plane, which all souls do go when they die. And you get to see it, experience for a short period of time. But even soul comes back into a body with a brain, and the brain can't perceive it. I've been listening to every person I know, or on radio, or listen to on the internet, or people had a death experience. Oh, I met my grandma, I met my father, I met God, I met Jesus, I met this, that, and the other thing. And what did you learn? Well, that I can't go there yet. I had 5 death experiences. The last 2 were the most important. But I also chose to come back. Again, why? Why would I want to come back? All right. One time it was totally different. I was in a different kind of state and all that. And I kind of didn't want to come back. And then I thought about my wife and stuff, and it pulled me right back. What's going on in your relationship is going to determine how much you desire to come back. But also realize when you leave, what do you want to perceive when you get there? How far are you willing to let go? What are you going to hold on to? Now, critically, important. Lifetime after lifetime, family after family means you had multiple wives, multiple husbands, and multiple children. So when you die, who do you think you want to sit next to? The last person that you met? How about the souls that you met a long time ago, in multiple lifetimes, that help you get one more step down the road? Because right now, very few wives or husbands can take anybody to the next step because there's too many things, vices, and programs stopping them from doing that. Now, I'm going to throw the other word at you. Satan. Well, that's not real. Well, it is. And it is an entity within itself. It has a thought form. It thinks and does work with this reality. God allows it to be there for a reason. Now, God isn't this most evil, Satan ain't the most evil thing because it gives people what they want. Drugs, sex, whatever. Even Bob Dylan said music. It gives people what they want to keep them here, not to make them go. He doesn't want to see people die and go to heaven. If everybody died on this planet, who would Jesus... Sorry, I'm getting a little twisted here. Who would Satan actually work with? Nobody. And guess what? His whole life will be at the end. Then what's he do? Go to the astral plane and what? Start all over there. But it would be better. But he has a great mission. The same as when Jesus was alive. Judas had the most important mission of all his disciples. He was the only one that could do it. All the other ones lied and wouldn't do it. But even after Jesus died, they didn't even realize who and what he was. They would have walked away from the religion, complete path, not a religion, if Mary Magdalene didn't teach them. Even Paul, he was the worst because he wouldn't follow a woman to the very end. So, programming has been happening over and over. Women were slaves all through history, and they're not much further down the road today. Sure, they can work, but even Mr. Trump doesn't want transsexuals and women playing men's sport, men playing women's sports, and all the little things that he doesn't like. When you join the army, if you can do what's supposed to be done, why should they stop you? I mean, it can get perverted. I mean, sex and rape and all that happens everywhere. Even in beautiful, supposedly, families. So when you think you're above everything, think about what goes on in your mind. Because your mind affects what soul can do. I give techniques how to learn how to listen to soul over the mind. And if you do, it could stop you from a lot of serious... I know things. As well, I'm just going to do this and bang, I cut myself, I do this, I do it. I mean, if you listen to soul, you're a lot better off. It doesn't stop you from going through everything because you still have to pay your karma off. And people do not want to face that. I had friends that were in Kowloon, and I studied that for a couple of years. And there's a Tibetan word that they use, the illusion of reality. No, this is real. While you're here, it's real. When you leave, it's not real anymore. I mean, if you eat ice cream, it's real while you're eating it. Go to the bathroom and it's gone. It's no longer real. All right. But as far as relationships and all that come and go, to the very end, they could hold on to it. But then you do have to let it go. And people can't do that. The word attachment is one of the vices that keeps soul coming back to this reality. Probably the main one. And sometimes it's not even to a person. Yes, it could be an animal. But yes, it could be cars. It could be sports. It could be a lot of other things. Which is the main focus in a person's life. All right? But where do you hear the focus is on God? Do these people have a clue what God is? What it really does? Why Earth is here? Now, the other word that sick people created was Luciferians. Lucifer is still an angel of light. And I know ex-friends and people talking about Jesus is going to come back and kill Lucifer. Jesus could not take Satan out. Jesus cannot take Lucifer out. Jesus isn't God. Only God can do certain things. You can't be killed on the astral plane, just so you know. You can throw energy at people and things like that, but you can't kill them. Soul's not solid. You can't chop its head off, can't burn it, can't freeze it. Dante's Inferno about hell, he's talking about planet Earth. All those things happen here. Don't happen on the astral plane. You know, even if you get to experience it a little once or twice before you die, and you work on that, it helps you in your next life. If you don't, you really start all over in a new religion, new path. Don't forget, there's 2,000 religions here, at least right now. 2 of them have the most population, Muslims and Christianity. Christianity, 2.5 billion. Muslims have 2.3 billion. And then you got 2,000 other religions, really. I mean, Hinduism, Buddhism. I mean, even you go into voodoo, witchcraft, demonology, demonism, and all those other words. They're all real to the people that deal with it here. But what does it do for you? Power. I was a high priest when I was 16. I was working through, there's 32 psychic abilities that come from through ascension. Like Jesus and Mary Magdalene had those abilities. All right. I was working on them one by one, proving they're real and I could use them and they exist. I created a covenant. I wasn't reading books. I wasn't being shown by anybody what I did. I mean, I got into exorcisms, psychic implant removals, all by my lonesome. I didn't read books about it. When I was creating about past life regression, I said, well, what am I going to call this? Let's regressing somebody backwards. And I came up with words, and I created them before anybody else did. Seriously. One of the old top speakers on the planet died a couple of years ago, and claimed she did. But she created it many years after I was already doing it. But the problem with all that, it deals with physical energy, which is not spiritual energy. They're not the same. You can sit there and pray 10,000 hours in a year, or 100,000 hours, or all year long. It's not changing that. Your mind believes it is. Praying makes what? I'm telling God what to do? Seriously. You don't think God knows what it created, watch what it creates, and creates better things? Or tries to? God's not what we perceive as knowing. Didn't know a roach would be the oldest creature on the planet? Still a pain in the ass today? You know, God created this world to let things grow spiritually. And very few things do. Imagine being in that place. You had a son and you want him to be a doctor and he wants to be a rapist. What do? Kill him? You let him stay in hell. Think about that. It's really complex, it's really true, and it's the highest truth you're going to learn in this reality. What you're doing. Why are you doing it? Why are you here? And don't go over it. Save mankind. There's 8 billion people on this planet. 90% of them don't want to know anything other than what they think they know. 5% think they can find it and don't look for it. And a few percentage that want it and are trying to find it are the only people I care to talk to. Because people don't want to hear anything other than, well, God's saving my ass no matter what I do. Really? Kill somebody. Read John's translation of that in the Bible. You know, man rewrites everything over and over, and every time he rewrites it, it becomes a greater lie. A lie to what it was manifested as. Truth is out there, people, but you don't look for it. You'll believe a scholar, and I hate titles, but he's got his 10th degree in this or 100th degree in that or whatever. Really? And what's he know about the truth? Does he know aliens are real, what they're here for, what they're doing, why they were here before us, why we're here? Any of those questions for real? What's God even look like? Well, the universe is like, well, the universe is big, and God within not our universe. Try to understand that. The universe doesn't end in reality, and it's only the first level of God. So take that to a greater level, and it's mind-boggling. And how many people could even understand that? Well, mathematically, Einstein was a genius. No, he wasn't. He was working with alien technology. He was given information, but he was wrong about a lot of things. Tesla worked with an real alien race. He was given all the inventions that he came out with. He didn't go to school, learn how to create an earthquake machine, time travel, and all those words. No, there's no school that can teach you that. Because there's no school that can teach you that right now. 90% of scientists don't believe in time travel. For real. And I'll tell you straight out, the Army has been doing it for a long time. And they screwed up many times. And they keep going back trying to fix it. But the worst thing that happened was they opened up the vortex. And that's a real word. And it's allowing all the darkness to come into this world. Multiple ways, entities, demons, you name it. And they're all coming in greatly. And the government cannot close the vortex. My partner, co-host at the time, whatever I want to call him, he claimed he could open and close them, which is bullshit. I met a person that can actually open them. Problem is, she can't close them. You know, there's a thing that people assume that when they do something, well, they can just undo it and stuff. No, you can't. Release a virus on a planet, it could destroy the planet. Release a virus into an underground city, it could destroy the whole multi-underground city. You know, there's things, we have 12, I'm trying to think of the right word, laboratories working on viruses that are unstoppable. No cures. In the United States. For real. Go online, type it. They'll tell you we have them, but it won't tell you where they are. They can't let people know where they are. But when I lived in Jersey, off in New York, they had an island where they were doing cloning already. I'm not going to get into that. Oh, the whole Montauk project was partially real, but people like Al Beal was a friend I had who was the only person I know back in time, but Preston Nichols didn't go in time, didn't do all these things, but he was really weird. I met him a few times. He would eat a whole pizza during his workshop. So, needless to say, he was like obsessed with things that weren't real, or really important, I should say. I can tell you things a lot deeper if you really cared. I've been working with Musk for a couple months now. He's got 3 different sites that he pulled me into over the past couple of days. And I keep saying to him, the only way I'll accept anything, you should remember this. Anybody, if you think you're talking to somebody famous, ask them to go on Skype right now. Skype me, talk to me, and video chat with me. And I'll tell you to do this and do this or whatever, and say hippopotamus. And, you know, Program Zombie, which I actually had Gal Gadot, who's coming out in a new movie, send me a video. She goes, hello, Tommy, I'm the real Gal Gadot. And then I look on the table, there's these cupcakes singing. You know, why would you do something that stupid when you're trying to prove you're somebody? But there was no reverse conversation. So if you meet somebody, I think you're talking to a real person, ask them to do that. If they come up just like I'm looking at you right now, ask me a question. Go in the chat room. You can ask me a question right now if you wanted. I can bring you on a show if you wanted to. And please, people, send this video to everybody you know. If they're ready for something, they'll listen. Maybe they'll try to watch a show and ask me a question. I'm open to the truth about the things I know. I won't tell you anything about a car, spaceship, plane. I mean, I saw schematics of it and things like that, but I don't want to play with them, don't want to use them. But I'm not going to go any further. I know anybody that's stuck around, thank you for staying here. Please send this link out to other people. I pay to do the show. I'm not getting paid to do the show. I was on almost every talk show out there. The only one I never got on was Coast to Coast before it was taken over. Now, all right, when Art Bell ran it, I was trying to get on with my partner at the time. And it was all they attacked him so bad at that point. They went after his son and he had to get rid of the show and give it over to George Norrie, who I think's a big flake storyteller, thinks he's famous and important. He's not, doesn't know anything. All the UFO people on Ancient Aliens have zero clue. All the people from Skinwalker Ranch have zero clue. Bigelow is very intelligent, and he's more concerned about death. I mean, he was warned, and that's why he left the Bigelow. He left the ranch. Mr. Bigelow left Skinwalker Ranch. He left all his equipment there even. I can go on, but when you're ready for the truth, it's there. If you're not, you'll never see it. But please, you want to get further down the road, don't let your feelings and emotions control everything you do. Soul's true. It knows what's right and wrong if you ever decide to listen to it. And we can't always. We don't have the time. We don't think about that moment. But even in a car accident, soul will say, don't do it. And you say, well, I'm going to make this turn. And you do it. Or whatever. It can see past, present, and future within seconds of the time. So it could stop you at any given moment of doing something totally ridiculous, crazy. I was stopped from doing serious things in my life. And I'm telling the truth, I wasn't aware of listening at the time when it happened, but they did happen and were stopped. But I'm protected in a lot of ways. Government wants to take me out, they can take me out tomorrow. Some jerk down the road could come out and shoot me, but it doesn't matter to me. Because I'm not here for anything else on this planet. I can't save the planet, can't do a lot of things. Oh, I wish I could. But I don't wish upon a star and know that it's way out there and not here. So with that, people, peace, love, compassion, whatever you need in your life, don't stop. Don't accept anything as total reality until you can prove it to yourself. God's real, God's not. Religion's real, religion's not. I'm in love, I'm not. Love is not an ending thing. It never ends. And it constantly grows, even if it's not being fed. But where does it come from? What it is, another show that I'll do. All right, people. You heard it here. Tommy.Hawksblood. Skype me if you get this. Hawksblood1 AOL.com. You want to talk live? Skype. 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 It's live chat. Hold on. All right. Somebody asked me an important question, but I'll try to. Hold on, let me just tell him. It's not in the email. All right, I didn't see it. I'm just going to put a reply there. All right, people. Till next time.